She called me fake, a sack of silicone. What she didn't know? I had those implants to cover the scars from a double mastectomy, after I survived what killed my mother. If you've ever been underestimated, disrespected, or judged before someone knew your story, this is for you. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like for justice served, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Let's get into it. 4 years ago, I was 24 when I lost my mom to breast cancer. She was the third in our family. Both my grandmothers had died from the same disease. I got tested, not because I was scared, but because I knew. Deep down, I knew the clock was ticking. And just like that, I got the news. A cluster of cells, potentially cancerous, waiting to turn on me at any moment. They gave me 3 options: regular screenings every few months, a single mastectomy with constant monitoring, or a full bilateral mastectomy. I chose the third. Why? Because I'd watched cancer hollow out the strongest women I knew. I wasn't going to be next. They warned me about the scars, said they'd be minor. They lied. After the surgery, I had 2 angry, jagged, bright pink reminders across my chest, 1 inch long, half an inch wide, raised, raw, and every time I saw them in the mirror, I didn't see survival. I saw damage. I stopped leaving the house, threw out every mirror, even got physically sick looking at myself. It wasn't vanity, it was grief. Grief for what cancer took from me before it could even grow. A therapist referred me to a plastic surgeon, just to talk about scar treatment. Cream didn't work. Laser was risky. Implants? They were a last resort, but the one that worked. I chose a DD, slightly smaller than the F I used to be. And slowly, my confidence returned. My reflection stopped hurting. For the first time in years, I felt okay. Fast forward to now. I'm 28, working in a decent office job, slowly building a life again. The kind of quiet normal I'd longed for. Enter Jill. She was the kind of person who weaponized curiosity, the kind that eavesdrops not to listen, but to gather ammunition. One afternoon, I was joking with an old friend about flying with implants, light-hearted, nostalgic stuff, and Jill overheard. By the end of the day, the whole office knew I'd had a boob job. Not the why, just that I had implants. Then came the comments. Snide, under-the-breath jabs, all thinly veiled as jokes. You've got more plastic than Barbie. She's fake in 2 ways. Sack of silicone. Every week, at least 3 insults. For months. I told her to stop. Quietly. In the elevator. In the bathroom. Out of earshot. No cameras, no proof. Just her words against mine. And she never stopped. But the moment that broke me came during a lunch with coworkers. I made a casual comment about something being shallow, and Jill smirked. You'd know all about being shallow, she said, gesturing to my chest. It was like all the oxygen left the room. My fork froze midair, my heart pounded, but I didn't yell. I told the truth. I got these after a double mastectomy, I said. After my mom died from breast cancer. After they found precancerous cells in my breasts. The scars were so bad I couldn't look in a mirror without crying. I didn't get implants for vanity. I got them so I could feel human again. So next time you want to judge someone, maybe ask why first. Then I picked up my lunch and walked away. That mic drop? It should have been the end. But the next morning, HR emailed me. I was being investigated for creating a hostile work environment. Debbie, the HR rep who signed the email, just so happened to be Jill's friend. I knew this wasn't about workplace policy. It was about punishment. But I wasn't about to go down without telling my side. First, I combed through my contract. There it was. A clause saying I had the right to an impartial overseer for complaints. Next, I contacted everyone who had offered me support after my confrontation with Jill. Do you remember any time Jill insulted me? Would you be willing to write and sign a short statement about it? Not everyone was brave enough. Jill had friends in high places, but 16 people stood up. 16 coworkers wrote letters. Some detailed Jill's obsession with my appearance. Some brought up her other inappropriate comments about weight, about someone's nose, even something anti-Semitic. One of them had been there during the lunchroom incident. I gathered the letters, printed my contract clause, and arrived early to HR the next morning. When Debbie tried to lead the meeting, I pulled out the clause. I'd like a different reviewer, someone impartial. She insisted she could be fair. I refused, politely, but firmly. Eventually, a supervisor intervened. We all sat down, me, Debbie, another HR rep, and the supervisor. They began the interview, expecting a scared girl with no defense. Instead, I calmly laid out my full medical history, the pattern of harassment, 16 signed statements, the date, time, and names of everyone in that lunchroom, and a reminder that the conversation had happened in front of CCTV cameras. Every time they asked a question, I had evidence. Calm, precise, documented. Debbie's face went pale, then red, then blank. Her plan was unraveling in real time. After the meeting, I expected the worst. I opened up my CV, started polishing it, just in case. But something strange started happening. One by one, every person who had written a letter got called into HR. Then, everyone from the lunchroom. Then, finally, Jill. She came back 30 minutes later, fuming. And then, HR called her in again. At 5 p.m., Jill returned to the office and started packing her desk. No announcement, no fanfare, just the sound of revenge. She looked at me, full of rage, told anyone who would listen that I'd gotten her fired. Then she left, slamming the elevator button like it owed her something. Moments later, I got the final email. Your case is closed. That was the day Jill learned what happens when you mess with someone who survived more than she'll ever know. She came for my confidence, my body, my peace, but I had truth, proof, and people willing to stand with me. Jill wasn't fired because I made a scene. She was fired because she built her own case against herself, one cruel comment at a time. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud. It's quiet, precise, documented, and when justice finally lands, it doesn't just feel good, it feels earned. If you've ever been judged before someone knew your story, drop a comment below. Let's talk. And if this story gave you chills, hit that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to see what true, poetic justice looks like. Because sometimes, karma needs a little push.